So here's how the paint looks coming out of the booth. It's dried for a day and a half now. It's got 3 coats of base coat and 3 coats of clear on top of that. And the next step in the process is to what they call color sanding. It's with a really fine sandpaper to work out any little dirt spots or orange peel, anything like that. I mean, this paint looks really good coming out of it, but it's got a couple tiny little imperfections that'll sand out beautifully. So what I'm going to start doing is sanding the clear coat with 1200 sandpaper, and I start with 12 because the buffing compound I use is supposed to be good for 1200 scratches. But I don't stop there. I go 1200, 1500, 2000, but this way, if I miss a spot that I only hit with 12, which is highly unlikely because I'm going to be sanding 3 times total, the buffing compound will take it out. Now with the clear, you got to be really careful with edges, and especially anything that's not rounded. This edge right here has a nice round to it, but I'm going to go really, really light there. And you don't want to bear down onto the sandpaper. You know, you can cut through the clear pretty fast if you're not paying attention. And so the rule is if you're sanding and you start seeing the color come through, the clear will kind of make the water cloudy. But if you see, in this case, red, you got to stop right away. Stop. You don't want to cut through the color back to the primer, and then you're could end up in a painter's nightmare with edging and lifting and all that stuff when you try to touch it up. So some edges you just want to stay away from. You know, there's no reason down here to touch this edge. It's already perfect. You know, there's nothing there. But if you look, I don't know if the camera's going to show it, but there's, you know, a little dirt up there which is going to completely disappear. You know, if we were in a sealed booth with robots painting it, you'll get absolutely no dirt. You don't have to touch this afterwards because it's certainly shiny enough, but good luck with that. So I'm going to start sanding it, and you'll see the process. You want to keep, same thing as sanding the primer. Keep the surface wet, but not so wet that the sandpaper skips over it, and use a soft block, flexible sanding block. Those work out really well. And just be patient. You know, it's going to be a process and it takes time, but this is the part that really pays off because everybody's looking at your brake lines or your fuel lines and how well you did there. And the outside of the car, the paint. Stay on there, and you can't use a guide code on this at all. You look at it, after you sand it a bit, well, you see that one spot I sanded there, now the water wants to stay on there. It's going real light. Off. You don't want the sandpaper to clog up. can do to test the process. You know, I've learned over time what it feels like, the amount of drag and everything to change as you're sanding it, of what, you know, how far I have to keep sanding. But I'm gonna get some paper towels and dry off that spot, and you'll be able to see the difference. The good thing with this body, where you can paint the body off of the car and then do all this color sanding and buffing off the car also, because this really makes a mess. And once this stuff, you know, sands off and then hardens somewhere, it sticks almost like you sprayed it on there. It gets in the nooks and crannies of the car and everything. It's a royal pain. So almost now where it loses the gloss, you can see, you know, almost like a guide coat. So right here, I got a little high spot there, it needs to be sanded back. Right over here too. And then, you know, I can see where it's still got a little bit of gloss down in there. So I just keep working on that. You know, and there's where there was a dirt nub right there. There it is, right there in front of my finger. But you know, this is nothing. So I'm gonna keep going with that.